Welcome one and all to the DL Debate. Thanks so much for tuning in now live on the radio. Good man, Joe. Joe Deck's producing this evening, keeping me right. There's a lot of twiddling to be done here, but listen, we're hearing you. You're hearing me loud and clear now, hopefully. As I say, thanks for tuning in now live on Highland Radio or back via the podcast. Thanks, Michaela, there for a news update, and of course the legendary DJ that is Ivan Borland and the Power are there on the DL Debate this evening. We are going to review, of course, all the GNU stories of the week. Soon we'll hear from hurling boss Mickey McCann after his side's defeat to Wicklow in O'Donnell Park yesterday, 11 points to 224, a tough defeat for Donegal in Division 2B. We're also going to talk to ATU football boss Maxie Curran, of course, his brother Barney Curran, in charge of the ATU. They won the Lynch Cup at the weekend. Phenomenal victory, 2 games, a semi-final and a final victory in the Connacht Centre of Excellence there, taking the cup back to Letterkenny. Fair play to them. Maxie's going to give us an update on that weekend. I'm going to speak with Eamon McGee over the saga of our academy. It's a tough subject for a lot of people, but seeing as it's out there, I wanted a discussion with him and what he felt about it, and put the matter, I suppose, in some way to bed and move on from it. Now, Eamon was to join me in studio, but he had to train the under-20s tonight, so I caught up with him earlier on Zoom, and I'll be playing that for you shortly. But first of all, I want to turn our attention to the O'Donnell Park yesterday. I was out there looking in on proceedings, and Donegal, as I said, had a very tough day out against a very talented Wicklow team, and after the match I caught up with the boss of Donegal, Mickey McCann. Here's what he had to say. Today, you won the McGurk Cup during the week. We came into this game with a defeat to Meath in the league, but you're hoping for 2 points today, but really outplayed by a very physically strong and a very classy Wicklow side.
Yeah, Brendan, there's only one team in it, to be honest. In the first 10 minutes, I sort of, before the match, I thought that the boys were switched on, but 10 minutes in, you could see the body language just wasn't right, and it's hard to switch them on in. And look, there was only one team in it, Brendan, they looked a level above us, and we just dropped down to that level again where we were, times when we switch off. I know we're missing a few bodies, but you expect the boys on the pitch to put on a good shift, and look, the intensity just wasn't there, and Wicklow just had far too much time in the ball and far too much space, and we just have to draw a line under it, and maybe try and move on to next week. And picked up another couple of injuries with Conor Garrett and Gavin Brown, so we're really struggling at the minute for bodies, but we'll take a go at Tyrone next week. We'll not be too bothered whatever comes out of it, and we'll look forward to the Nicky Reckon and try to get some of the injuries read up,
Yeah, it's looking like Meath will top the group, and then you have 2 and 3 play for the next semi-final. But as you said, Mickey, we were just speaking there, there's growth within this league for you without trying to go to 2A, because our first couple of seasons there, we faced relegation battles, then we stabilised and we're fairly stable again, so that's progression for your squad at the minute. Mickey, you are where you want to be. Tough defeat today, but of course that Wicklow team coming down from 2A about 3 or 4 seasons ago, they're wanting to get back to that level, and we're still, I suppose, growing at this level.
Yeah, and Wicklow, when they get all their hurlers out, Brendan was saying earlier last year, they're a bit disarray down there, but they've all them Bray hurlers back, and they've the strongest players available in the county, and they're definitely a Division 2A team. And look, on our day we can put it up to them. We did with Meath, but it's just getting that consistency, and going to 2A when you meet the likes of Kerry or Offaly and all, it might do you no good, because we're a young team and we're building, and I think 2B is a spot for us for a year or two, maybe down the line, but it's a massive step up to go to 2A. So to keep our status in 2B, we're happy enough. Not happy with the result today. If we'd been beat by 2 or 3 points, it wouldn't have bothered me either way, but the attitude today wasn't good, and it was something we're going to have to fix going into next week and into the Nicky record. But as it goes, we're happy to keep our status there, and that's the most important thing. And as I say, I think we're not ready for 2A yet anyway, Brendan, so we'll not be too worried about a semi-final spot.
Yeah, it's built the championship. You mentioned there you've moved 5 or 6 maybe your starters out. Of course, you lost Declan Coulter before this match today. Of course, your main scorer in chief and free taker. Any update on them? You're saying we've Tyrone up next, Maggie, but you're not that worried about obviously that league position as long as you're stable. So certainly be a matter of resting these guys, getting them ready for the championship, not so much next week's game.
Exactly, we'll be taking no risks, Brendan, and we can't afford to because the championship's only 2 weeks after that. So look, I'm saying whatever team takes the field against Tyrone next week, we'll be expecting them to give it everything, and if it's enough, we're in the semi-final. If it's not, as long as we get a performance and just draw a line onto this week, that's all you're looking for, is about as you say, just a rebound back from this week and back to your normal way of working and putting our shoulder to the wheel for one another. So I'd say next week's whatever with the result, as long as we get a performance. But the players that's going to be starting, I've just been saying to them, they're expected, Bren, to do the jersey a bit of pride, and it'll be the same next week against Tyrone. And look, if it gets you over the lines, we'll take a semi-final surely, but if it doesn't, so be it, we move on to Fermanagh, and hopefully we'll have all the bodies back come for that, you know. Yeah,
it's always good to blood players. Like, I'm just thinking of one thing now, and I know as a manager you're trying to digest this performance, but you could potentially meet Wicklow in the Nicky record now. Now there's nothing I think better than maybe a team thinking they have your number, and then you come with your best team back in championship and bring a different element to the game altogether. Should that happen down the line?
Yeah, and look, we showed nothing today, so they learnt nothing from us. There's more on us than that, and that's what we're just saying. And some days you get them days in sport, Brendan, where just nothing goes right and everything goes flat on you. And on the sideline, there's not much you can do. You have your prep done and your tactics, whatever. But when things go flat in the pitch, it's hard to fix on the day, you know. But as I say, Wicklow, a 20-point defeat. I think when they come here in 6 weeks' time, maybe we'll be in a better place with the boys back. And there's a lot more on the boys that played today too. So they definitely are a good side, and they're probably going to be the team to beat in the Nicky record. But we'll be a lot closer to the next day, Bren. You'll be hoping, you know.
Yes, I would expect they will. No better man than Mickey McCann. Serious improvement in our hurling teams and squad and pedigree since he's been in charge, and he was a great servant to Donegal as a player as well, and for Bert. Before we get to the Eamon McGee interview, I was just thinking about Donegal ladies, thinking about the A2U. They are in obviously a spot of bother, bottom of Division 1. They played Dublin this week, and if they lose the game, Donegal desperately need a victory, but if they lose the game and Meath and Mayo were to win their home games on Sunday against Waterford and Galway, Donegal would get relegated. And hopefully now, listen, we all know the talent that Dublin have at that level. It's a tough ask. We are at home though, it still is possible, so we're wishing Maxie and his charges all the best for that. Obviously another team that's haunted by a possible relegation is our Donegal men. They play Mayo this week in McCool Park this Sunday at 4:45. You'll hear full commentary, of course, from Oisín Kelly and Martin McHugh on the big game. It's do or die there for Donegal. They have to beat Mayo, and a rampant Mayo. That's going to be a massive occasion at McCool Park. Hopefully that record we have there at McCool Park can swing it our way a bit like it did with Kerry on the opening day. I think this is a much bigger challenge all the same. So listen, after the break we're going to hear this interview that I got with Eamon McGee earlier, and we concentrated mostly on the academy and the future, and I also threw a question to him about Donegal and Mayo on Sunday, and I'll play it after these breaks.
The DL Debate with Sister Saras Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Saras Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Keep out the cold, and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
At Shannon Airport, we know what makes a dream holiday. It's not just the huge choice of destinations like Chicago, Paris, Newcastle, Naples, Barcelona and Porto. It's the hassle-free experience that makes getting through our airport a dream. So whatever dream holiday you're packing for, head for shannonairport.ie. Shannon Airport, making it easy.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean, stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Anyway, last week I was in the house. I'd done a crossword, watched a bit of telly, made about 40 cups of tea, and I just thought today's the day. You see, I haven't been out much since before the pandemic, but I knew the bridge night was on. So I went. Oh, it's great seeing them all. They're a really good laugh. I missed that.
Reconnecting with others is always good for your health. Maybe it's time to say hello again, world. A message from Healthy Ireland.
Yes, welcome back to DL Debate. Now we have that interview, as I say, I got earlier today with one of our heroes of 2012, Eamon McGee. Yes, Eamon McGee, thanks a million for joining us. I say we're hoping to have you up in the studio, but of course you are doing your thing with the under-20s this evening, so we've had to catch up earlier today via Zoom. How's things with you?
Good, Brendan. Good man for having me on here. Sorry I can't be there in person now, but just duty calls.
I wanted to put that nice face of yours on the camera and zoom it out tonight, but
we're better off then if that.
We'll find a nice picture somewhere, Eamon, of you and stick it up. Sure, they're all nice anyway. The man that made it into that famous best looking man in Ireland with the curls, wasn't that what you got in for, wasn't it?
That's exactly what I got in for. That's the only thing I have over nailed in the 3 All-Stars now.
Very good. Very good. Eamon, listen, life's good with you. Of course, as we mentioned there, you're fair play to you. You're coaching the under-20s, which is massive, the young boys. And the likes of Leo in there coaching that. You're raising a family in Letterkenny here with the lovely Joanne, of course. Life's good. Busy?
It's busy. It's busy, Devenney, now. I have them down in Unions training now, so I think the young fella broke my heart, and he says he wants to buy a Unions jersey, so I says you'll have to talk to Rory about that, because I'll not be buying it.
Well, listen, Trasa, as our wee boys decked out half the time in Godora jerseys, so sometimes you have to suck it up with it, you know. Yeah.
But life's good. It's busy, and it's just kind of. It's nice to be involved with the 20s. I enjoy. I'm kind of just starting off in the coaching journey, so I'm enjoying it. They're great young fellas now. They just want to play for Donegal, and that's they're mad to play.
And we're lucky to have you there. You know, people are talking about the next generation and promoting it. And no one like our heroes from 2012 to do that. I just remember from the 92 guys, lucky enough to play with 5 or 6 of them, and just the aura of those guys and what they had achieved. You know, once you go to that level, Eamon, you know, your I suppose your word and your presence just carried so much more. So we're delighted with that, Eamon. Of course, one of your teammates has been in the news heavily this last while, and that's me and you were texting over and back there this last while. You were telling me about I was on News Talk last week, and then Cahir's article come out, Eamon. So we were texting over back, and you know, we came together and we said, listen, why don't we talk this out? And Eamon, and in talking it out, and when we get to the end of this, I really want, and I'm sure you're the same as me, to put it to bed and move on. But I think it would be, I suppose, remiss of me not even to engage the subject, the fact that it's on the national, and I think from a Donegal perspective, we need to learn lessons from it. But just your reading of the situation, Eamon, because you thought that, from my perspective, I was trying to weigh up, I suppose, the balance in it, that you know, the two sides of it. Cahir's article was very much from Lacey's perspective, because no one from the county board would talk. But your feeling would be that Cahir's article was correct?
Yeah. I think, I know you have to say that I might be coming from a biased perspective in terms, you know, I've known Carol since we started off in the school excellence at under 14. We went to college together. You know, he's a good mate of mine. We won the All-Ireland, went on that journey together. So maybe my perspective is a bit skewed, and you might have the real neutral viewpoint. But it's just that from the information, and why I'd be so disappointed with this whole situation is that the opportunity that we had here. I seen Carol and, you know, the vision he had laid out, and I'm just so annoyed that we've let this pass. And, you know, you're right in what you say. Eventually we'll have to pick up the tools again and get on with it for the sake of Donegal GA, because, you know, Derry aren't doing it. Tyrone J are still getting on with things, so eventually we will. But for me, it was just very unfortunate the way it worked out with Carroll. I thought that, you know, he had come in as a kind of what you would call it in kind of this fancy word culture. He was a cultural disruptor, and you know, a lot of stuff what he was saying was kind of foreign, and you know, it was new to a lot of the county board members, and maybe they weren't happy. Maybe weren't happy with certain things, and you know, Carroll has to realise he probably had to play the game a wee bit now. But it's just that I feel it could have been worked over, and it could have. It's just the opportunity that we had and where we are now. Like as we touched upon a few times, we've won Curran Cup team under 16 team starting up a few weeks with no management in place, and it's just that Donegal is just missing a beat. And basically, I'm like yourself, Brendan. All I want to do is for me and you to be sitting up in the Hogan stand or the Cusack stand, wherever. You'll probably get good tickets with the media there now, but I just want to look at Donegal consistently on the big days. You know, it doesn't mean that I have to be in there and on the sidelines. Like, just I want to be, you know, sitting up in Croke Park, watching, and you know, because I feel Donegal will always produce good players, but the way we are now, we've got to structure it, and the way things are going, times are moving on. We have to structure that process, and you know, a lot of counties are doing it. And Carroll, what he was talking about and what he was doing, I feel it was going to be the best about, not even one of the top 5 or whatever. It was going to be the best about in terms of the academy and the way people were buying into it. And it was just, it's just for me, it's just such a massive missed opportunity here.
Yeah, and listen, I suppose, and me and you texted and talked about this, about what you're kind of saying to me, was there maybe his vision was a bit, maybe you'd say, you know, too ambitious, maybe? Is that where you're kind of going to? And my issue in this, Eamon, is that when this kind of fell apart, the attack on the county board and blaming them for it didn't make a lot of sense to me around why they would back Carroll in terms of the initial setup. There was a lot of money put into this, and then somehow look to prevent them succeeding. Like, that's why I couldn't, Eamon, I was trying to get my head around that. But what's your feeling on that?
And you know, the money issues raised its head several times in terms of the cost of the academy, but this is the way of the world now. Nothing comes cheap. I feel that Donegal, not just in the academy perspective, but overall, have to get better at that. You know, if the likes of Kerry can get good, Dublin are a different animal because they've got the commercial opportunities and, you know, population and all that. It's hard to compare Donegal to Dublin, but Donegal, there is avenues for us to go down, and I don't think we're working or doing the right moves and then that thing. And I get you. I don't think anybody in the county board would actively work to, what's the word, undermine Carroll or anything. I just thought that his few steps forward were just that wee bit too much for her. And it goes back to that word, the cultural disruptor. That's what happens when someone comes in and tries to change things, trying to change the viewpoints of people. And it's very, very like us when Jim came in. Like we thought we knew how to train, we thought we knew how to play the game, but you know, he had to just basically grab us by the neck and show us, and you know, show us how to train, show us how to play the game at a level that, you know, you're going to compete. And I feel that's what Carroll was doing at underage. He was just, this is the way we've got to run this academy, and this is what we're about. Because Donegal need this. You know, Tyrone have a successful underage. Derry are starting to get their house in order. They're coming off a few good underage teams, and you know, we haven't really competed the way we should. And I feel that goes back to the point, we're always going to produce good players. Donegal, like, since, you know, they have always produced players capable of doing it on the big day and performing in Croke Park. But we've just got to make sure that we structure it and put the right things in place now.
Yeah, and listen, Eamon, obviously, you know, it's under 14, 16, 15, 16 squads. They had a partnership with schools. Carroll was by all accounts setting up a first class setup. Then there seemed to be this executive, I suppose, strained relationship that came about. Now, my issue with this, Eamon, is, as I say, the attack on the county board, and that's what me and you talked a bit about. Yeah. I just couldn't see why it was so one-sided. And that statement that came out then, I thought was really, really cutting the loss of all confidence in the governance. And I was just thinking, why at that point, and the coaches obviously signed off on that, what had caused things to go to that level? It just seemed remarkable. And listen, you mentioned Tyrone there, and I know their schools and dairy schools and all that are probably producing more players at schools level than us, and that's why we need the academy more than them. But certainly, like, the budget for our academies was way above what they have. So, I mean, in terms of that, they were back in Carroll. It just seemed to be this started to get in to a small bit of governance, and the umbrella of the county board being in I suppose, ultimate control of the academy. And there seemed to be a pushback on that. That would be my feeling of it.
And I think, as a state in Cahir's thing, there's been a few clashes last year in terms of what Carroll was looking for, and there was a few kind of started to fracture a wee bit, but I firmly believe that article was the turning point. That article coming up to convention, the county board took real umbrage with it, and that's what kind of pushed things into the point of no return. Once they took Carroll in front, and kind of, I don't know, what do you call it, a disciplinary meeting or kind of.
More or less. Yeah.
Whatever. And I think that's what I think we wouldn't be talking about this if they hadn't taken Carroll in front of the board.
I agree. Huge mistake.
And for to go back to the coaches now, I think that comes from such passion for what Carroll had, and like they were all so behind Carroll and what was in place, and they were all so enthusiastic, and then they were seen as a attack. So I think that was just a form of loyalty. Maybe it was the nuclear option, just straight away press the button here. Maybe they could have played it and had this threat and try to get them sitting down talking, and just to go straight to that. That's probably my own personal take on it, because that's very, very strong words to say that you've lost governance in your board.
And the reason for that, Eamon, again, going back to the point is, listen, my issue with here is that the boys in the county board, I know the county board's always kind of demonised a bit for whatever bloody reason. Nobody's ever happy with them. It's like a fucking referee nearly. But Eamon, those boys, and I'm not saying they're perfect, I'm not saying the whole county board's perfect, but Jesus, they're in there for the good of Donegal football. So I just don't understand how this would. It's as if, Eamon, it festered from something a bit silly. And as I say, in Cahir's article, and listen, Cahir contributes to the show. I think he's a brilliant journalist. He's one of the best out there. But he himself said that obviously he only could speak to people that were talking. They seemed to be all on Carroll's side, and they talked about, and then he said that Carroll had repeated that had this reviews that no one from the county board or executive turned up for. But like, I did talk to the county board executive. I said, why was this? And they said, well, that's the first they had heard of it when they read it in the article. So that's what bugged me a bit about this. Yeah. There seems to be a counter argument for some of the stuff that's in. And, in the article, well, it says that Carroll looked for, a proper, I suppose, job specification. Now, the county board officials have said to me that they requested contracts and that because they weren't in place. So listen, there's one side saying he requested, then the other side saying they requested it. Yeah. So we have this two sides which didn't really come out in the article, and that's no fault of Garrett because no one would talk to him. But I think that the reason the county board didn't talk and aren't talking is because it'll only create more of a mess. And this will just lead to, I know, but in that vacuum of them not talking, they seem to have got a bit of an attack, which I think some of us warranted. I agree with you totally. The disciplinary thing, you don't bring up somebody like Carl Lacey and try and give him a slap on the arse with a fucking Sally Rod. You don't do that, Eamon. That's not how Carl Lacey works. And listen, no one's above you know, I suppose rules and regulations and that. But there's a way of handling that, Eamon, that obviously was badly handled. Now, so was the initial article that came out, and people shouldn't have been named, and they were. So there was a wee bit of a mess there, which is bad in Donegal terms. But I agree totally with that. I'm just saying that certainly the things that I've seen in the article, I mean, you've talked about this, there seems to be a counter argument from the other side.
And for me, why do the county board not say their piece? You know, because like we all, if there's a vacuum, it's going to be filled, and one side is getting information out. So I don't understand why the silence. My understanding of the situation is that, you know, the academy reached out several times to try and get, you know, touch points, try and get information, and they weren't even replied to now. So that's my talking from one side now.
But see, Eamon, let's just be devil's advocate here, forgetting about either side. If academy that we've poured a lot of time and finances into the setup, why do you think? Now again, I'm not speaking for either side here. Why would we not come back to them on information? Why would the county board not give information, which seems pretty straightforward? I mean, the whole thing just doesn't add up for me. That's why.
Do you want my personal take on that?
Go ahead, yeah.
Then again, this is personal take, is I felt that's what he was asking for, and the reason that he didn't get any correspondence is because these were things that were taking it up to a certain level, taking it to the level of elite or whatever way you want to call it, and they were different. This changed things. So, you know, the county board just says, no, we'll stick to what we do and what we know, what we've always done. And that's my, I could be 100 miles off there, Brendan, but that's my take on it. And you have to remember, go back to your point too, is that we both know the lads that are involved in the county board, and there's, you know, we'll talk to them. They're good people. Like, and that's the thing. And that's what's difficult about us going out and saying this and standing with Carol and creating an us versus them. Like, at the end of the day, we're all Donegal men, and we all just want to get on. But like, if you want to get to the next level, you're going to have to make some people uncomfortable. You're going to have to call some people out. And that's what it's ultimately all about.
But Eamon, listen, just again on that, right? And I appreciate what you're saying, but if we're going to get to the next level and we're all invested in Donegal, then why does that need to happen? Surely if we've backed the money and backed the Carol to this point, why then would we somehow then need to kind of, you know, some people need to realise what's happening? Surely everybody there wants the best for our young fellas and wants the best for our county team. Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really, you know, why should we need to do that in our own house in terms of bringing us forward?
And I know what you mean. The way I look at it is that just they weren't prepared in terms of that. That's not a slight against them. They just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. And then, you know, they might have felt threatened by these new measures Carol's bringing in and this level. And, you know, it's easy to say, right, why are they just not getting bored with it? But like, change is difficult. People fear change. People fear, you know, this level of investment. There's serious pressure on county boards throughout the country, and you know, Donegal's no different. And for them to get to that level, there's an investment required, and maybe that's what frightened them. Maybe says, well, you know, we're under a lot of pressure as it is, and you know, the academy's looking for X amount, and it's going to be a continuation every year. This is the budget. So maybe they felt threatened. It's better just to stick to the road we know, and you know, we'll win in All Ireland maybe every 20 years, or you know, we'll compete, we'll be competitive like for every here and then. Like, but for us that have been there in the good days and the bad days, you know, we came from being a laughing stock to having that brilliant decade last year. We just don't need to go back down and then come back. If we get things right, we can stay at that.
Eamon, just, I mean, we read up this subject at the minute. There's one other point I had to throw to you, and is this breakdown of communication that was happening? And as I say, because we're talking now, because a lot of it was seemed to be from the county board side. The coaches that were involved there, that Carol had taken on, the county board didn't know who they were, which means they didn't know if they were vetted or not. Now, they probably mostly are, but they don't know who they were because all that information was in the academy. There seemed to be a few things, and still that information isn't out, even because at the last meeting there, I know one of the delegates, and I know him well, it's from a club not too far from here, asked what was part of the problem here, and what about the coaches coming back? And the reply from the top table was, we still don't know who these coaches are because it's in a laptop in an office. So, you know, them kinds of issues, Eamon, can't happen in the modern game where, say, the head of our setup don't know the coaches that's out there, then therefore they don't know that are they vetted or not. So, you know, that was a major issue which was rumbling in the middle of this situation as well.
No, I have to agree with you there. I don't think that's. I don't know, is that on the academy or is that on the county board? Who that's on? But definitely, we can't have a situation where our county board don't know who's coaching team X or team Y. Everything has to be known and it should be out there. And I'd be surprised if that information was really, really hard to come by.
Yeah, well, it's in a laptop somewhere. That was the answer from the last night. I spoke to the delegate that asked the question, and that's the reply. But as yet, that information's not out there. Eamon, I just hope now. Listen, if you look to the future, and listen, Eamon, you're up coaching now. You know, you want what's best, and fair play to you for coming out and admitting it, because that's, you know, some people are always shying away from it. You know, you're invested in Donegal. Even see you down there with the wee underage coaching there with your kids at the Aura that the Lynch Cup set up, which was open to everybody, and you're there coaching our 20s as well. You're still playing with Gweedore this season. You'll be the Bomber listing there inside again, yeah.
Well, that's the plan now. I think it gets harder. I'm not going to commit to the club until after the 20s, but it gets harder and harder to get to get the body right, it to the level. So we'll see. We'll keep ticking away in the gym and keep doing a bit of work on running and see where it takes me now. But the club game, like you know yourself, it's gone to a ridiculous level. I remember at a stage, was it last year or the year before, where you know I wasn't able to push off the average club player, where you know 5-6 years ago, no bother at all. You would have held it with the best now. But these boys are conditioned now to as good as a lot of county players, and it's a different ball. You don't just land in the club game at senior level anyway. You don't just land and go down for a kickabout. But the plan is to get back and just mooch about to the edge of the square there, and just tell the boys to kick her in.
And Eamon, tell me this now, just for the future of this, if we could get like an ex-player on or a very experienced person, can we just take up the reins kind of from what we had started to put in place? Like, all is not lost in terms of getting the academy back up and running yet. If we could get a good appointment now, we could salvage what had happened so far and the work that Carol and the coaches had done and get back on the front foot again.
I think that's what eventually will have to come, and hopefully the lessons. I think this is the reason why we're making so much noise about it, is that the lessons have to be learned, and we have to realise that, you know, what we did before is just not good enough. We have to stick to this, and eventually we'll have to get back in the horse here. The Donegal jail have to get up and running, because it was here long before Gareth Lacey or Eamon McGee, and you know it'll be here long after us now. So it'll get up, and definitely there's stuff there within Carol's Academy, or don't like calling it Carol's Academy now, but what he put in place in the academy, and there was stuff in place, and we definitely need to learn from it and maybe stay true to it, and try and get someone involved and keep pushing it on.
Listen, man, it's just I hope Donegal football still gets Carol Lacey back in there somewhere, because you know his talent and his ability, his qualifications for being in coaching roles and that, sure, everything.
I think the word's so good in Carol as a coach. I was listening to Mark McHugh. He was doing a podcast there last year, and he was asked to name, his best coaches that he'd ever worked with, and he named 2 coaches, and Mark's, been about. He's seen a lot, and Carol Lacey was one of them. Was one of them coaches. So
yeah, exactly.
We need to get him. We need to get him back involved. And there's plenty of other good coaches in Donegal. That's the thing. We're producing a lot of good coaches there at the minute. So just because people kind of get lost with the 2012 thing, or the 92, it does help. It helps get you in the door. But if you're not a good coach, the boys that are going now will quickly snuff you out. And there's a lot of good coaches that have never kicked the ball or never been part of a county team, and we have to keep them involved too.
Yeah, 100%. Eamon, just before you go, I just want to mention, obviously, coaching, it's difficult at the minute. We're staring a possible relegation in the face. I've just wondered about your thoughts. Eamon, we've been in a few relegation scraps in our time in Donegal. It's tough when the amount of dressing rooms you've been in where you're up against it. Mayo coming up at the weekend, of course, it's at home at the Fortress. It's do or die stuff for us, but it's been a difficult season for Donegal so far.
It has, but there's been bright points in it in terms of some of the performances. To stay up's not beyond the realm of possibility. I think that there's enough quality about that dressing room that they can push to stay up, and it's just learning. It's just learning. I don't think it would be the end of the world for the group to go down, because you'd hope that they would, get Paddy back. Have another year. Them younger boys will have another year development, and hopefully get back into Division 1 if they go down. But there's still a lot of quality in that squad. I think you have the likes of Langan, Jamie Brennan, Kieran Thompson's to come back, Ryan McHugh. We still have enough to stay up in Division 1, and it's just all about learning. It's all right losing, and then you've got to keep learning in every game, and I kind of see that there's bits that they are taking on board, and they're progressing. So it hasn't all been doom and gloom. No.
Yeah, listen, Eamon, and listen, on behalf of the county, keep up the work with under-20s there. Much appreciated, lad. I wish you the best going into the championship now yourself, Leo.
Cheers to me, and thanks for having me on there.
Not at all, Eamon. Great to have you, lad. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed, Eamon McGee there. I want to thank him very much for coming on, because it's a kind of subject people might want to avoid, but Eamon has to express his views on it, and we're delighted to get them from him. I guess, just listen, folks, really want to put this subject to bed. I was just thinking, as Eamon was talking there about, the setup, was financially backed. Brilliant plan from Carl. Proper governance was needed. There was a pushback from the academy. It falls apart. Listen, that's the way it is, folks. I'll let you make your own minds up on that. I'm really interested to get the views of our new chairman, Fergus McGee. Obviously, at the minute, they're avoiding talking in the media, because they want to get this situation put to bed and have the new academy up and running. And I'm very interested to get his views on what he sees his future lies and what he sees is best for Donegal GAA. Now, Fergus, a great GAA man, of course, and delighted to see him get the chair. I was just thinking back to my own time, the changes, sometimes we got to maybe reflect to look at how far we've come, and people are, of course, annoyed about the academy falling apart. But listen, it will get up and running. But, when I started playing with Donegal up in Drumbo on an old muddy pitch, unsowed pitch, which fell apart very quickly with the multiple teams training up in it to the centre of excellence that we have built today. I mean, it's been a phenomenal time in Donegal. I mean, huge effort has gone in from everybody involved. So listen, we are making strides. We're in a bit of a tough area now. So listen, we're just hoping we can get the right appointment now, get things back up and running. Now, after the break here, we're going to talk to the victorious ATU manager, Barney Curran.
The DL Debate with Sister Saras Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Saras Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're more than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board Mona.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
Highland Radio are going to Scotland from Monday the 1st of May to Thursday the 4th of May with the very best of music, and we would love for you to join us. Staying at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel in Glasgow, we are bringing with us some of the biggest country stars, including myself, David James, Declan Ernie and Robert Mazzell, to name a few. You will enjoy luxury travel to Glasgow, 3 nights dinner, bed and breakfast with music and entertainment each evening. Join us on the Highland Fling to Glasgow this May for only €575 per person. To book, call Highland Radio today on 074 91 25,000. Early booking is advisable. Single supplement applies.
From coast to coast and top to tail, Ireland produces some of the best food in the world. And at Dunnes Stores, we're proud to offer it to you. Our locally sourced top quality cheeses like Goo Bean or Gert Namona are 3 for 2. Fresh vegetables like baby rooster potatoes from just 49 cents. And Board Bia quality assured meat like our centre cut ham range, now 20% off. Plus, you can save even more with our 10/50 grocery vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used next grocery shop with €50 or more.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233. The DL Debate with Sister Saras Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Saras Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, welcome back. I say there was a victory at the weekend for our ATU ladies in the Lynch Cup. A lovely picture of Trudy lifting the Lynch Cup and returning back to Letterkenny with it. Their boss, of course, is the one and only Barney Curran. He joins us now. Barney, how are you?
Yes, Brendan, how's things?
Not too bad, my man. Huge weekend.
A big weekend. Friday, Saturday, and we come up the road on Saturday evening. We all headed down on Friday morning, and thanks be to God, we come up the road with a bit of silverware now. Thanks be to God.
Fair play to you, Barney. Fair play to you. You were saying your prayers then, by the amount of times you're saying God there. So if you have him on side, you're not too bad. Eh? Barney, just about the season, Barney, you've been working a couple of seasons with the girls. Obviously, at the weekend, those 2 games, you beat DCU and then UCC in the final. But, Barney, the season, of course, this is just the final 2 games. Massive work put in by yourself, and Nadine Friel was helping you, Sylvester Maguire, and at the end, of course, you won the competition. Must have been very pleasing, but just the work that went into the season, Barney.
Yeah, we met them. We went in the first week, and we met... Well, started, we lost a lot of players last year. More or less, there were 5 or 6, and they were all in the Donegal setup. Brendan, they were strong, physical, good players, you know. So going into this year, I didn't really know what was ahead of us. Michael rang me and to see would I be interested in taking the job, and I says, well, you can't say no to Michael Murphy, you know. So I said, hi, no bother. And we met them. We didn't know really what was going to be ahead of us. We had something like maybe 30 odd I think it was 33 at the first kind of a trial way back in October. And we were getting ready for the Quail Cup. It's kind of the league. And we got the panel. We carried everybody for most of the year. Like, you're going to lose players' replacements and different things. But we worked hard now. We had Paul Fisher's at the ATU there, and he's heavily involved in getting all the athletes strength and conditioning programs. So we went every Monday night as a unit, as a team, into the high performance gym in there, and we had no less than 16, 17 every night. And the girls really, really bought into that. You know, it was as much as injury prevention as strength and conditioning, you know. And we'd go to the pitch every Thursday. Or sorry, every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we'd be in the pitch if we weren't playing. So I know, and we worked hard. Now, there was 2 or 3 of the girls on county panels as well, and some of them still involved in the club, and you didn't have them all for the Quail Cup. So you needed to carry the panel of 32, 33, you know. And but then after Christmas, then it was we won that anyway, and the girls worked again. We had a good springboard for going into the championship. But then we were missing 3 or 4 players in replacement, you know, and a lot of our girls are nurses, or it's not just a matter where you can ring up and take tomorrow off, you know. So we were missing 3 or 4 as well that probably should have been there for the final again. But it's the way the poly system works, you know. When you're out on your placement, you're out in your placement. Just
yeah. And Barney, the footballing philosophy here, we like to have an attack mind nature. Certainly in the semi-final, hitting 4-18. You weren't copying the old counter attack completely, were you? It was attack first. Tell me.
It was attack first. Yeah, that's a big thing of Michael's. He's you know, a lot of these players are in clubs and maybe county teams, and they're all playing in structures and they're all playing in setups. And you know, as you know yourself at the minute, it's a lot of defensive stuff. Teams are starting to kick it more now, but it's mainly all defensive stuff. And the main thing was get the girls out, get them playing attacking football. A kind of old school Brendan, go 1v1 and 1 year patch, and we'll take it from there, was what we were looking to do, you know. And then when we got the ball, we were to break and 5s and 6s, you know, instead of 1s and 2s. So you were kind of moving up the pitch like as I say, like an army battalion, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I just move the ball early, I get the ball into the forwards and let them do the work.
Yeah, it's a simple philosophy.
It's a simple game. It's the likes of us. It's the likes of us to try and complicate it at times, you know.
That's the one, Barney. We know there's a serious discussion behind that. Barney, tell me, the actual weekend itself, you know, you hear a lot of stuff about the way the main Segerson used to be, the actual buzz around the weekend, and you've so many different people from different places meeting up in that, and I suppose that kind of with that sporting element and everybody coming with a bit of passion for football, was there a special buzz down about the Connacht Centre of Excellence?
As soon as you pull in the gate, like, you see all the people, all the buses, you see all the games on, you know. There's a great output. Well, when we got on the bus in the morning, the girls were buzzing. I had all porridge pots for them, and we had a bit of breakfast heading down the road, and then we stopped them for another bite. Our game was meant to be at 12:30, but because of the weather conditions, it was moved to 3. So it suited us better because we could get to the hotel. We booked a hotel and we got all the rooms sorted, and the girls all settled and relaxed with their bags and stuff. And we headed for the Dome then about 1:30 or so, and we went, and very well organised, you know. They had all the dressing rooms, and you were assigned somebody within, and when you went in the gate, and they looked after you for the couple of days, and any questions, you go to them, and no request was too small, and they always sorted everything. And so we done then, and then you got a warm-up area for about a half an hour, and then you were brought onto the pitch then, and they had the refs and the linesmen and the umpires. Very well done, very well run. It was the ATUs that hosted the whole thing, so you know, it was nice for us to be in the final, us being an ATU and everything. and you're meeting loads of different people from different counties that you've met out in the road with county, and different colleges. Met some of the northern boys that we challenged, and the Siggers, and they were involving ladies, and it's good. You know yourself when you get down to them weekends, you're hearing old stories and chatting to boys. We had Sylvie Maguire with us, and there's no man better for the old stories than Sylvester, you know. As Brian McCann called him, the silver man.
the good old days, boy. Yeah, there's good stories there. Barney, were you able to see? Sorry, firstly, I rang you as you were going out for your warm up. My apologies. I thought you had played at that stage. You see, fair play to you. Still answered the phone. I was wondering. I just made the final. Barney, listen, you obviously had a big victory. Was the other teams watching you in that semi? You know, you put up a huge score. Leading into that final, were you able to watch UCC and vice versa?
Well, you see, before the games were changed, before the times were changed, we would have got to see UCC's second half. But when the times changed, they put the two teams on together, and they were right beside each other. So the two games were on at the one time, and I was kind of focused on what we were at, so I didn't get to see much.
You hadn't got a spy making notes then, no, across.
No, which is sometimes it's not bad not knowing what's ahead of you.
Yes.
Instead of maybe overanalyzing stuff at times, and it was probably better that some of the girls didn't see who they were up against and different things. So it was. We played DCU, and we kind of played them. We beat them by a point earlier in the year in the Quail Cup. And we knew they were going to come with a couple of more players because they've got a serious pick, you know. As I was saying to somebody, I think there was 260 odd of them at a trial. We had 22 of the panel with us.
Yes.
And, you know, so we went down there, and it was neck and neck up to half-time. And we got them in, and we reset, and we just went toe-to-toe with them in, and we got a fantastic start. Kieran McGarvey won the ball after the throw-in, and down the barrel of gun and stuck it into the net, you know. And then it was just a springboard after that. Then we got point after point and defended really well. Like, everybody's on about the attack and some of the scores we put up. Our defence, Brendan, for the 2 days was
yeah, but you could see that, Barney,
you know,
in the final.
You know.
Listen, you could see that. I mean, 1-7, and you could see that in the final. It was 4-3 at half time. A much more tense game. Barney, but listen, the confidence was there, and you come out with a 4-point victory in the end.
Oh, definitely. Now, it was the first time all year we went in at half time and we were a point up. So, as his girls, this is new territory for us. But we've been a second half team all year. Like, we played St Mary's in the quarter final up here, and we played a whole second half, and into extra time, and Mary's only scored 2 points. You know. We're slow out of the blocks for whatever reason. I just could never put my finger on it. But our second half performances are just outstanding, you know. Yeah. They've got a serious group of character. They work great. They play for each other. You know, I kept telling them this is the wee parish against the big town team, you know, and they were kind of buying into a lot of that stuff. And
that's old Dowling stuff coming. That's old Dowling stuff coming out there, Barney. Barney, listen, I just want to say mighty stuff to you. Hey, listen, we're out of time here, Barney. Thanks so much for wrapping that up. Well done. Fair play to you and the backroom team and all the girls there. Thanks very much for wrapping that up this evening and taking that cup back, Barney. Well done.
All right, thanks, Miley Brand. Thank you.
That was great, folks. That's the DL debate wrapped up for another night. I want to thank everyone who contributed. Joe Dex for producing, and stay tuned for, of course, Jimmy and Paul coming on for the excellent Monday night sessions. I'll speak to you all next week.